Hey man, let's talk about something most men never realize until it's far too late: the illusion of emotional investment. You see, women are never fully in a relationship the way you think they are. They want you to believe they are. They'll act like they're all in, that they're emotionally attached, that you're their world. But beneath the surface, there's a subtle detachment, a quiet psychological mechanism that keeps her safe from ever feeling powerless. She'll smile, she'll hug you, she'll say she loves you, but deep inside, a part of her remains strategically withdrawn. It's not love she's protecting, it's control. She's invested just enough to make you commit emotionally, but not enough to truly be vulnerable. And that's why so many men end up blindsided, because they mistake her emotional performance for emotional presence. From the very beginning, she studies you, not out of love, but out of instinct. She learns your habits, your triggers, your patterns of reassurance. She learns how often you check in, how much effort you give, and how much of yourself you're willing to sacrifice. And once she knows that you've fallen for her, that she has your loyalty secured, that's when she subtly begins to pull away. Not dramatically, but emotionally. She starts creating small emotional gaps, unanswered texts, mood swings, quiet withdrawal. Not because she's losing interest, but because she's testing her leverage. She wants to see how far she can stretch before you start chasing harder. It's a power calibration, and the cruel part, you won't even notice it happening. You'll think she's just tired, busy, or stressed. But in reality, she's conditioning you to associate her distance with your effort. That's the first sneaky thing women do. They weaponize uncertainty. They know that a man's emotional rhythm thrives on stability. You love consistency, loyalty, predictability, things that make you feel safe enough to love deeply, but she thrives in unpredictability. She needs that chaos because it maintains her psychological advantage. If she keeps you guessing, wondering how she feels, what she's thinking, where you stand, she remains in control. She wants to be the one who defines when connection happens and when it doesn't. That emotional push and pull is not accidental. It's the oldest game in the world, a subtle form of psychological dominance, disguised as romance. Because the more you chase clarity, the more she feels powerful. And the more she feels powerful, the less vulnerable she has to be. She'll act affectionate one day, sending you long texts, giving you validation, saying things that make your chest tighten with warmth, and the next day, she'll turn cold, detached, emotionally absent. You'll wonder what changed. You'll overthink, replay conversations, analyze your tone, but what you don't realize is nothing changed. She didn't lose interest, she just needed to reset the power balance, because if she gives you too much stability, she loses psychological leverage. She knows that men fall hardest when they're confused. That confusion makes you crave her validation even more. You start doing what you think will bring her closer again, texting first, apologizing, proving your worth, and in doing so, you unknowingly reinforce her position as the emotional authority in the relationship. You become predictable, she becomes mysterious, and that's exactly how she wants it. But here's the dark truth. Women admire men who make them feel emotionally uncertain, even though they'll never admit it. The men who don't reveal too much, who don't over-pursue, who remain calm when she's trying to provoke emotion, those men make her feel that rare mix of fascination and fear. Because deep down, she knows she can't manipulate a man who doesn't crave her approval. And that's why women are never fully in, because they're always guarding that power dynamic. They can't let you see their full vulnerability, because vulnerability means surrender. It means giving up control. And in the modern dating world, control is everything. They've been taught to protect it like armor. So even when she says she's in love, a part of her heart remains behind locked doors, where her ego keeps the key. Now let's talk about another sneaky tactic: emotional decoying. This is when a woman subtly distracts you from noticing her withdrawal by giving you small bursts of affection at strategic times. For example, right when you start pulling back or going silent, she'll suddenly reach out with a cute message, a memory, or an apology that feels genuine. But once she feels you've emotionally softened again, she retracts that warmth. It's not manipulation in the malicious sense, it's instinctual. She knows that giving you a taste of connection keeps you hooked far longer than consistent affection ever could. It's like giving you emotional breadcrumbs that lead nowhere, just enough to keep you following the trail. And before you know it, you're emotionally dependent on her inconsistency. That's how she maintains control while still appearing emotionally available. You'll often notice that women will say things like, "I just need space," or "I don't know what I want right now." Men interpret those phrases as confusion, but they're not confusion, they're calibration. When she says that, She's measuring how much emotional space she can take before you start reacting. She wants to know if you'll chase or if you'll stay grounded. Because if you chase, she knows she's still in control. But if you stay calm, detached, unbothered, she loses her rhythm. She starts feeling the anxiety she used to make you feel. And that's when the balance shifts. See, women are never fully emotionally detached. They're just better at disguising it. They love the feeling of being desired, but they fear the feeling of being exposed. So they hover in between, half in, half out, just enough to feel wanted, without ever risking true rejection. That's why many relationships feel emotionally lopsided. You're giving everything attention, reassurance, consistency, while she gives selectively, and the worst part, she makes it seem like you're the one who's emotionally intense. You'll hear things like, "You care too much," or "You're overthinking." But in reality, she's the one creating the imbalance, because as long as you're trying to fix the connection, she never has to. It's emotional outsourcing. She gets to sit back, analyze your reactions, and decide how much effort to give next. That's why when you finally pull away for real, it shocks her, because she's been living under the illusion that you'll always stay emotionally accessible. And when that illusion breaks, when she feels what detachment actually feels like, that's when she realizes that she was never fully in control after all. And the irony, the very thing that makes her feel secure at first, her emotional distance, becomes the very thing that makes her feel empty later, because control might give her safety, but it never gives her intimacy. A woman can manipulate her way into a man's attention, but she can't manipulate her way into his respect. Once a man recognizes the pattern, once he stops reacting and starts observing, her entire emotional playbook collapses. That's when she begins to panic, because her emotional tricks only work on men who crave approval. The moment you stop seeking her validation, you become unpredictable, and unpredictability is the one thing she can't control. That's when she starts feeling attraction again, not because of games, but because your emotional detachment forces her to confront her own. You see, man, the reason women are never fully in the relationship isn't because they're incapable of love, it's because they fear losing leverage. They've been conditioned to believe that if they give too much, they'll get hurt, so they keep that emotional safety net, a quiet backup plan, a mental escape route, a way to disconnect before they're left behind. It's not always another man, sometimes it's emotional independence, sometimes it's ego, sometimes it's a fantasy of freedom. But the truth remains, she's never completely in, and the moment you start realizing that, you stop over-investing, you stop trying to earn her love, you start observing, and when you do, you'll see how every word, every reaction, every shift in energy is part of her unspoken attempt to make you believe she's all in, while still holding the door halfway open. What most men fail to realize is that women always have an emotional exit strategy. Even in the moments where she looks completely invested, when she's saying, "You're the only one I've ever loved," when she's holding your hand and looking you in the eyes, there's a quiet part of her that's scanning for escape routes. It's not always conscious, but it's there. It's the part of her that's ready to detach the second she feels things might turn against her. Maybe she starts texting an old friend innocently, or maybe she begins scrolling through her past photos, romanticizing her single life. It's all part of that emotional insurance policy, because the truth is, she never wants to be the one left behind, so she builds invisible exits before the relationship even reaches its peak. That's why when it ends, she never looks shocked, because she's been slowly preparing for it long before you even sense the distance. And that's where it hurts men the most. Not the breakup, but the realization. You'll look back and realize she started leaving long before she actually walked out. You'll remember the moments when she stopped laughing at your jokes, when her hugs got shorter, when she started saying, "I'm just tired," instead of "I love you." It wasn't sudden, it was strategic emotional withdrawal, a process designed to dull her attachment before the fallout. She trains herself to feel less, to need less, to miss less, all while keeping you emotionally invested. You're still giving your best while she's emotionally fading out, and by the time you notice, she's already gone, not physically, but mentally. That's why when she finally ends things, she looks calm. It's not strength, it's rehearsed detachment. The sneakiest part, she'll even create conflict to justify her detachment. She might start arguments over small things, criticize you more often, or act offended over something trivial. But what she's really doing is emotional justification. She's trying to feel less guilty for pulling away. If she convinces herself that you're the problem, she can leave without remorse. That's why sometimes the more you try to fix things, the more distant she becomes, because your kindness disrupts her narrative. She needs you to play the role of the cold one, the difficult one, so she can rationalize her exit. But when you stay calm, when you stop reacting, when you meet her emotional chaos with quiet detachment, it terrifies her because she realizes you're not just emotionally aware, you're emotionally untouchable. This is why emotional intelligence in men is so rare and so powerful. Most men react to women's distance with panic. They chase, they plead, they over-communicate. They try to win her back by doubling their effort, not realizing that this only feeds her illusion of control. But a grounded man does the opposite. He observes, he senses her withdrawal, but he doesn't fight it, he simply adjusts. He becomes quieter, more self-contained, more focused on his purpose. That's when she starts to feel the unease, because she's no longer the one in control of the emotional pace. Her tests stop working, her manipulations lose their grip. Suddenly she's the one wondering, why isn't he reacting? Why does he seem so calm? That's the beginning of her psychological unraveling, when her emotional strategy meets a man who doesn't play games. Here's the next sneaky thing women do. They mirror your energy, not to connect with you, but to gather data. When you're calm, they're calm. When you open up, they open up. It's not always authenticity, it's mimicry. She learns how to emotionally blend into your rhythm to gain your trust faster. But later, she uses that same data to manipulate your emotional state. She knows what triggers your worry, what makes you chase, what gives you hope. So when she begins to withdraw, she doesn't do it randomly. She does it in patterns that maximize your emotional confusion. That's why you'll often feel like something's wrong, but you can't explain why. Because she's not confronting you directly, she's tugging at the invisible threads of emotional attachment, and by the time you realize it, you're trapped in a psychological cycle that she's quietly orchestrating. Now let's talk about one of the most dangerous forms of emotional control, selective vulnerability. This is when she opens up just enough to make you feel emotionally responsible for her. She'll tell you about her past, her pain, her trust issues, and you being a good man will want to protect her, heal her, love her better than anyone before. But here's the trap. Her vulnerability isn't always meant for connection. Sometimes it's a weapon for influence, because once she sees that you're emotionally invested in her healing, she knows she has leverage. You'll tolerate more, forgive faster, and overlook red flags because you think you're helping her get better. But in reality, she's using your empathy as a leash, one that keeps you emotionally obedient, and that's why she's never fully in. Because she's not healing with you, she's feeding off your loyalty while keeping her emotional independence intact. Most men underestimate how deeply women understand emotional timing. They know when to be soft and when to be distant. They know when to give you attention and when to disappear. It's not random, it's an instinctual rhythm. They've learned, consciously or subconsciously, that emotional inconsistency keeps you addicted. If she gave you affection every day, you'd get used to it. You'd relax, you'd stop overthinking. But if she gives it sometimes, your brain gets trapped in the loop of uncertainty, constantly chasing the next emotional high. That's how intermittent reinforcement works, the same principle casinos use to keep gamblers hooked. Every moment of affection becomes a jackpot, and you start playing harder, hoping to win her closeness again. And that's when she knows she has you, because your emotional world now revolves around her unpredictability. But here's where masculine awareness changes everything. Once you see this pattern, it loses power. When you recognize that her inconsistency isn't a reflection of your worth, but a reflection of her control strategy, you stop reacting. You stop trying to get her back emotionally. You stop chasing connection. Instead, you become steady, grounded, consistent within yourself. You start realizing that emotional balance doesn't come from how she treats you, it comes from how you respond. And when she senses that your emotions are no longer tied to her behavior, she starts to panic. Because what's a woman's power without emotional influence? It's nothing. You break her illusion of control the moment you stop trying to manage her moods and start mastering your own. That's when the tables turn. Suddenly, she's the one overthinking. She's the one rereading your messages, wondering why your tone feels distant, why your energy feels detached. She'll start doing the very things she once accused you of doing, overanalyzing, questioning, doubting, because now you're the mystery. You've stopped explaining yourself, stopped over-pursuing, stopped emotionally performing for her approval. You've reclaimed your power. And the most ironic part, the moment you become emotionally detached, she starts craving your validation. The same silence that once made you feel powerless now becomes your greatest weapon. Because silence, when used correctly, makes a woman question everything, her decisions, her worth, her perception of control. And that confusion is the exact mirror of what she once made you feel. You see, man, the truth is simple. Women are never fully in a relationship because their security doesn't come from connection, it comes from control. They need to feel like they have emotional leverage, the ability to pull away and still make you come closer. But once you stop responding to that rhythm, once you stop playing her game, her sense of control collapses. That's when she either evolves, learns to meet you emotionally, to love without manipulation, or she leaves, searching for another man she can control. Either way, you win. Because once you learn to see through the illusion, once you understand that her affection, her distance, her emotional swings are part of a pattern, you'll never lose yourself in a relationship again. You'll stop being her puppet and start being the mirror that forces her to face her own reflection. Here's the thing, most men never see. While you were falling deeper into the connection, she was quietly building emotional insurance policies. These are the safety nets women create to soften the fall if things ever collapse. Maybe it's a male friend she swears is just a friend. Maybe it's the old ex who suddenly reappeared on her social media. Or maybe it's the quiet comfort she gets from the idea that she could walk away at any time and still have options. She'll never admit this to you, because her entire emotional performance relies on convincing you that you're her only focus. But make no mistake, women are constantly managing possibilities, not out of evil, but out of instinct. She's programmed to preserve her self-worth. So even when she's with you, her ego keeps an eye on what's next, just in case her current world begins to crack. You'll notice it in the small details, the way she never deletes certain messages, the way she keeps certain doors from the past half open, the way she flirts subtly but innocently enough to deny it. It's not about wanting another man, it's about maintaining emotional options, because deep down, she knows that the one who cares less always has the power, and by having a backup source of validation, she never feels fully vulnerable. That's the twisted genius of female psychology. She'll appear deeply connected while quietly keeping emotional leverage. You're pouring your all into the relationship. She's diversifying her investment. That's why you'll see women move on so quickly after breakups. It's not because they heal faster, it's because they prepared for the exit while you were still trying to make it work. This is also why you'll notice that the woman who once seemed obsessed with you can suddenly act like you never existed. One moment, she's crying in your arms saying she can't live without you, and the next, she's laughing in a picture with someone new. It's not that her emotions were fake, it's that they were compartmentalized. She was always keeping part of herself detached, so she could move on without breaking completely. She never gave you all of her heart, just the part that was convenient. And that's why she can leave with ease, because she never had to take the same emotional risks you did. While you gave your entire self, she gave strategically. That's not love, that's management. And once you understand that, you'll stop confusing emotional intensity with emotional honesty. The reason she wants you to believe she's all in is because it keeps you emotionally consistent. When a man believes a woman is loyal and devoted, he lets his guard down. He becomes predictable, emotionally expressive and reliable, the perfect environment for her to assess how much control she truly has. She doesn't want you suspicious or detached, she wants you trusting, because trust makes you vulnerable, and vulnerability makes you easy to direct. That's why women overexpress love early in relationships, not because it's real, but because it builds comfort. Once you're emotionally comfortable, she can start to control the tempo, and the scariest part, she'll do it so naturally that you'll think it's love maturing, when really, it's her dominance solidifying. Now, understand this clearly. Not every woman is malicious or calculating. Many of them don't even know they're doing this. It's a defense mechanism built by generations of emotional survival. Women have been hurt, abandoned, and betrayed enough times that emotional self-preservation has become instinct. So when you meet her, you're not just meeting her, you're meeting her history. You're meeting every heartbreak that taught her how to stay half present and half protected. That's why she struggles to love without strategy. She's scared to be all in. And ironically, that fear of pain is the very thing that keeps her from ever experiencing real intimacy, because true connection only happens when both people risk loss. She doesn't know how to do that anymore, so instead, she creates the illusion of closeness while staying emotionally armed behind invisible walls. The more you give, the safer she feels, and the safer she feels, the less she values it. It's a paradox men can't wrap their heads around. The moment you start proving yourself, reassuring her, or showing her she's the center of your world, she feels that deep sense of control. And once she feels that control, her mind starts wandering. It's not boredom, it's biology. She's wired to test your emotional stability, to ensure you remain challenging enough to keep her instincts engaged. That's why women often pick fights right when everything seems perfect. It's their subconscious trying to reintroduce emotional unpredictability. The stability that brings you peace brings her restlessness. And the moment she senses that you're too available, too consistent, too easy, she begins emotionally pulling away just to feel alive again. This is why emotionally grounded men are so rare and so magnetic, because while most men crumble under emotional uncertainty, grounded men thrive in it. They don't chase reassurance, they create it within themselves. They don't seek validation, they command it through their silence. They don't demand loyalty, they embody strength that makes loyalty the only logical response. When a woman realizes that her emotional games don't affect you, when she sees that you can stay calm while she's spiraling, that you can remain centered while she's shifting moods, she doesn't know what to do. Her entire system of control fails, because women rely on emotional reactions to measure a man's investment. But when she gets nothing but steady composure, she starts feeling insecure, uncertain, even addicted to figuring you out. That's when the roles reverse. The very same woman who once kept you guessing now becomes the one overanalyzing everything you do. She'll notice your silence, she'll wonder what you're thinking, she'll text you just to see if you'll reply. You'll suddenly feel her emotional curiosity growing, not because she fell in love again, but because she lost the ability to predict you. You've broken her internal rhythm, and when a woman can't predict you, she can't control you. That unpredictability becomes intoxicating. You become the emotional puzzle she can't solve, and nothing drives female attraction stronger than uncertainty, paired with composure. That's the energy that keeps her awake at night, scrolling through your old messages, wondering why the power she once had no longer exists. This is where you reclaim your peace, not by playing games, but by detaching from hers. You start living with purpose again. You redirect your energy away from her moods and back toward your mission. You stop trying to convince her of your worth. You simply embody it. You stop over-explaining, over-texting, over-caring. You let silence do the work. And that's when you'll feel something powerful. Freedom. Because once you stop chasing emotional validation, you start realizing how much energy you wasted trying to make someone see what they were never capable of appreciating. You begin to see her patterns for what they truly are. Defense, not depth. You stop taking her coldness personally. You stop mistaking her confusion for mystery. You simply observe it all and stay centered. That's true, masculine mastery. So remember this. Women are never fully in the relationship because they're not built to be until they trust your emotional leadership. You can't force that trust by talking, proving, or begging. You earn it through consistency, calm, and mystery, through your ability to remain detached when she's trying to provoke chaos, through your silence when she expects reaction, through your self-respect when she tries to test it. Eventually, she'll realize that you can't be manipulated, that your peace is stronger than her pride. And when that happens, she faces a choice: evolve into emotional maturity, or lose a man who refuses to live as her emotional puppet. Either way, you win. Because once you master emotional detachment, no woman's uncertainty can ever shake your confidence again, and that's when her illusions crumble, one by one. Once a woman senses that her emotional grip is slipping, she instinctively tries to mirror your detachment. It's not genuine calmness, it's an imitation of it. You'll notice she starts talking less, posting more on social media, pretending she's too busy, or suddenly discovering new hobbies and friends. But these are not signs of peace, they're performances of indifference. Her ego is scrambling to regain balance by appearing unaffected. Deep down, however, she's unsettled, because she's used to seeing you react, to seeing you care, chase, or over-explain. But now your silence has forced her to feel something she's avoided her whole life: powerlessness. And women fear that more than heartbreak. Your calmness becomes a mirror that exposes her emotional immaturity. She can no longer control your state, so she begins to lose control of her own. At first, she'll try to interpret your silence as a game. She'll convince herself you're just trying to manipulate her back. That's when she starts testing, sending mixed signals, subtle provocations, emotional bait. Maybe she sends a nostalgic message late at night, or randomly brings up an old memory to pull you in. But when you don't bite, when you stay composed and grounded, it begins to hit her differently, because now she's no longer the center of your energy. And for a woman who's built her identity around emotional control, that's devastating. You've unknowingly flipped the power dynamic. What used to make you anxious now makes her restless. What used to keep you waiting now keeps her wondering. You've inverted the entire emotional structure and she can feel it. That's when attraction returns, but not because of love, because of loss of control. This is when she starts replaying the relationship in her mind, but from a completely different angle. Before, she was scanning for your weaknesses. Now, she's remembering your strength. She starts romanticizing your calmness, your certainty, your patience, all the traits she took for granted when she was in control. She'll replay old arguments, realizing how stable you remained when she was emotional. She'll remember the times you tried to fix things and she pushed you away. And now, when she looks around and sees that no one else can match that energy, regret begins to seep in. But she won't show it. Not yet. Because pride always delays honesty. She'll pretend she's fine while her mind slowly dismantles the illusion that she moved on. You see, this is the moment every woman fears. The moment she realizes that the man she tried to manipulate emotionally has detached permanently. That her words, her apologies, her silence, none of it triggers him anymore. Because you've reached the point of internal peace that no relationship can disturb. You've seen her patterns clearly now. You no longer take her games personally. You've stopped trying to rescue, explain, or convince. And when you reach that level of awareness, she can feel it energetically. There's no more emotional rope connecting her to your reactions. That's when she begins to panic quietly. Because she realizes you're no longer an option, you're a lesson. And here's where the truth cuts deep. When a man walks away calmly, without resentment, without hatred, without drama, it's the one thing a woman never forgets. She expects anger, arguments, confrontation. She knows how to handle chaos, but she doesn't know how to handle silence. Your silence becomes her unfinished chapter. It echoes louder than any words could. It forces her to sit with herself, to face the emptiness that control once covered. And that's when she begins to miss you in the truest sense. Not because of loneliness, but because of contrast. She starts realizing how rare your energy was, how calmness feels better than chaos, how masculine stillness feels more powerful than validation. But before she admits it, she'll try one last trick: projection. She'll tell herself, and maybe even others, that you were too cold, too distant, or too detached. It's her way of coping with the fact that her manipulation no longer works. She needs to rewrite the story so her ego feels safe. So she convinces herself that you are the problem. But no matter how much she repeats it, it doesn't stick. Because deep down she knows the truth. You were the one who cared deeply, loved purely, but refused to be controlled. You were emotionally stable in a world addicted to instability. You represented something she wasn't ready for, and now that she's lost it, she can't find peace. That's the paradox of feminine regret. It arrives when it's too late to matter. That's why, over time, your absence becomes the most powerful presence in her life. She'll date others, talk to new men, post pictures that scream "I'm happy," but inside she's comparing everyone to you. Not your looks, not your status, but your energy. She can't find that groundedness anywhere else. Every man she meets either tries too hard or reacts too fast. No one holds that quiet, unshakable confidence you carried when you stopped caring about control. That realization hurts her in silence, because she begins to understand she didn't lose you to another woman, she lost you to your peace, and peace is something she can't compete with. By now, you've become the ghost that visits her when the noise fades, when she's alone, when her phone stops lighting up, when her distractions fail. That's when your presence returns, not as guilt, but as reflection. She starts seeing how her own need for control destroyed what could have been something real. She realizes that her emotional games gave her short-term power, but long-term emptiness, because manipulation can win attention, but it can never sustain love. And when a woman finally understands that, it's already too late. You've already rebuilt yourself. You've outgrown the need to prove anything. You've become someone whose value no longer depends on being chosen, because you've already chosen yourself. And that's where real masculine power begins, not in dominance, but in detachment. When you no longer need to react to what she does, says, or feels. When you've learned to value your peace over her approval. When you finally understand that a woman's love, no matter how deep, should never cost you your self-respect. That's when everything changes, because now no woman can confuse you, no manipulation can sway you, and no loss can break you. You stop chasing connection and start radiating confidence. You stop seeking loyalty and start demanding reciprocity. You stop begging to be understood and start valuing your silence. That's the kind of man a woman never gets over, because he represents everything she couldn't control. So the truth is, women are never fully in a relationship because most men never give them a reason to surrender control. They chase, they react, they over-explain, they fold under pressure. But the man who doesn't chase, who doesn't argue, who doesn't seek validation, that man forces a woman to confront herself. He disrupts her emotional rhythm. He breaks the pattern she uses to feel safe. And that's when real attraction begins, when she realizes that she can't manipulate his peace, only admire it. So stop trying to make her see your worth. Stop trying to prove you're good enough. The more grounded you become, the more her mask will fall. Because a woman can only play games with a man who's still playing along. Once you leave the game, she loses every move. When she finally realizes that you've truly let go, not as an act, not as reverse psychology, but as a genuine shift in your energy, that's when everything inside her begins to unravel. Because for the first time, she feels what you once felt, uncertainty. The same silence she once used to control you now turns into a haunting void. She'll check her phone more often, glance through your old messages, and replay conversations in her head, trying to find the moment you detached. She'll remember how she used to get instant responses, how you'd call back, how you'd care, and now there's just nothing. No anger, no explanation, no emotional availability. You've gone completely off her radar, not by blocking her, but by emotionally deleting her from your internal world. And that's what breaks her, not the distance, but the disappearance of your emotional attention. Women don't just miss your presence, they miss the reflection of themselves they once saw in your eyes. You were the mirror that made her feel beautiful, desired, powerful. Every compliment, every act of care, every time you showed up, it built her sense of importance. But now that reflection is gone, she's forced to look at herself without the lens of your admiration, and it's terrifying. That's when she begins to understand that your energy wasn't ordinary, it was a sanctuary. You made her feel safe in ways she never appreciated. You gave her peace in moments she mistook for boredom. And now, surrounded by attention that feels shallow and praise that feels transactional, she starts to crave something deeper. But that depth existed only with you, and now it's gone. As time passes, the facade starts to crack. The "I'm fine" posts stop, the confident tone fades, and that quiet look of exhaustion begins to show. Because pretending you don't care takes energy, and eventually, even her pride gets tired. The truth starts to leak through her behavior. Maybe she watches your stories again. Maybe she reaches out with a "hey, how have you been" message. Or maybe she stays silent, hoping you'll break first. But internally, she's battling chaos, because she doesn't just miss you. She misses the version of herself that existed when you still saw her as special. You were her mirror of validation, and losing that mirror means facing who she really is. Insecure, uncertain, and replaceable. That's the realization that no woman ever forgets. Meanwhile, you've evolved beyond her understanding. The pain that once consumed you became your transformation fuel. You've learned to channel that emotional chaos into focus. You've become sharper in your mind, stronger in your boundaries, and softer in your presence. You don't chase love anymore, you attract peace. You've stopped needing people to see your worth, because your actions reflect it daily. You wake up with purpose, not pain. You look back not with anger, but with clarity. Because now you finally understand that what she offered wasn't love, it was control disguised as connection. You don't need it anymore. You've learned how to love without losing yourself. And that right there is what makes you rare. Not that you walked away, but that you grew after doing it. At some point, she'll want to reconnect, not because she suddenly discovered love, but because she misses the emotional certainty you once gave her. She'll phrase it innocently. Maybe she just wanted to check in, or see how you've been. But beneath the surface, it's her ego craving the old power dynamic. She wants to know if she still has an effect on you. But when she sees your composure, your warmth without attachment, your confidence without neediness, she'll realize the truth. You're no longer the man she left. You've become someone new, someone she can't manipulate, can't predict, can't control. And that's the exact moment her heart sinks, because now she knows that even if you spoke again, even if you smiled at her, she'll never have the same influence. You've evolved beyond her reach. Regret for a woman doesn't hit in a single moment. It comes in waves. The first wave is denial, convincing herself she's fine, she's free, she made the right choice. The second wave is confusion, wondering why her new situation doesn't feel as fulfilling. The third wave is nostalgia, remembering the warmth, the laughter, the ease that existed with you. And the final wave, the one that truly shatters her, is realization. When she finally sees that you've truly moved on, When she understands that your peace was not a pause, it was a new beginning, that's when the regret becomes permanent, because she can't replace the energy of a man who found strength in letting go. She'll keep trying, keep searching, keep comparing, but nothing will ever feel the same. And here's where your power multiplies, because you no longer seek closure from her, or validation, or justice. You've already received it through transformation. The best closure isn't a conversation, it's evolution. It's when she becomes a memory, and you become a masterpiece. When her departure no longer hurts, but teaches. When your silence no longer feels like loss, but liberation. You begin to see that everything she did was necessary, because it forced you to meet a version of yourself you might have never known otherwise. The pain didn't destroy you, it refined you, it stripped you of attachment and rebuilt you with purpose, and that's something no heartbreak can ever take away. One day she'll come across something that reminds her of you, a song, a scent, a place you both loved, and for a moment, it will all come rushing back. The way your presence used to calm her chaos, the way your silence made her feel safe, the way your voice carried authority without aggression. She'll remember it all, and she'll feel that ache of knowing she can't go back, because the door she closed no longer exists. You didn't just move on, you evolved. You became unreachable, not because of distance, but because of consciousness. You stopped playing emotional games. You started living with purpose. And that's the kind of man who doesn't just move through life, he commands it. So don't ever chase what left you. Don't try to convince anyone to see your worth. People who are meant for you will never require you to shrink yourself to be loved, and those who walk away are simply creating space for your growth. The woman who didn't value your loyalty, your consistency, or your patience was never prepared for the kind of love you were ready to give. And one day, when she's faced with another man who treats her the way she treated you, she'll finally understand what she destroyed. But by then, you'll be long gone, living in peace, not revenge. Because true revenge is indifference. It's smiling when she expects anger. It's thriving when she expected you to fall. It's becoming everything she thought you couldn't without her. And that's where your story ends, not in bitterness, but in balance. Because you've learned the greatest truth of all. Peace is more seductive than chaos. You no longer crave her attention, her validation, or her presence. You've outgrown the game entirely. You've realized that love isn't about possession, it's about alignment. And once a man aligns with his higher self, no woman can truly leave him, because he's no longer chasing love, he is love. You've become the lesson she'll never forget, the memory that humbles her, the standard that ruins her illusions. You've proven that silence, self-respect, and self-mastery are the ultimate power moves, because when you finally walk away with peace in your heart, the universe walks with you.